Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live, the programme for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. On today's show, we're going to be giving advice on how to turn losses into profit. It's all about starting up that business. How do you go about managing it, making it a business that's going to be successful? Our guest on today's show is Julianne Ponan. She's the CEO and owner of Creative Nature. Julianne, it's lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you.
A very, very interesting story. 22 years old.
Yeah.
You've built a brand. You can find the product in the likes of, well, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, places like that.
Not Sainsbury's yet, but the product's been in Tesco's. It's going into Lloyd's pharmacies as well on the 22nd of June. So, yeah.
So very, very exciting. And in what kind of period of time has it taken to get to where you are now with the product?
Well, I started at 22 and that was 4 years ago.
So in 4 years, from zero to effectively hero then?
Well, minus zero, because we were in over 56,000 losses. So, yeah, I was worse than zero.
Now, for those people that don't know who you are, I mean, you do quite a lot of public speaking. You go around, you explain some of the different techniques, the things that you've done, the ways that you've operated your business, and you tell that to other entrepreneurs. So just tell us a little bit about you. What's your background story?
Yeah, so like you said, I do a lot of public speaking now, but my background, so I finished uni at 21. I went straight over to Beijing and worked for a firm called China Tongyin, which was an investment firm. So banking sort of sector, and then came back to the UK and invested, did a management buyout actually at 22 and bought Creative Nature. I was a bit crazy at the time though, as you could say.
Have you sobered up?
Yeah, sobered up. But no, literally I saw the name and they were doing a lot of different products like candles, incense, you name it, they had it. They didn't have a core strategy or anything like that. So what I did is I wanted to implement a food brand because I suffer from anaphylaxis, which was the main reason the product's purpose was built. Suffering from anaphylaxis means that I'm allergic to nuts, different like additives, soya, things like that. And what happens is my windpipe closes, so I stop breathing.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't need to be a medical expert to know that, do you?
No.
So you found the product, but then you were looking at the business and you must have thought to yourself, okay, well, they're doing the scented candles, they're doing this, that and the other. So what was the process at that point? So
first thing I did was I fired all the management and I was sitting in my office by myself thinking, oh my gosh, what do I do next? And I knew that I needed to sort out the finances first, see what was coming in and going out, as cash is king in a small business and you need to make sure you have that to keep afloat. So
were you still working at the time with the bank, or had you left the bank now?
Completely left because couldn't work in Beijing and do that at the same time. So came back to the UK and completely gave my all, put all my savings into Creative Nature, and then launched the core range that I picked. Cut back on a lot of the things that I didn't think we needed, things like subscriptions that were being paid and really high insurance bills, and had a proper look at the finances and cut back on the things we didn't need.
Do you think, you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, do you think a lot of people do get a little bit sucked into the way that they operate and run their business initially? Because obviously the people that you'd now moved on to a new career, at some stage they must have thought those insurances, those subscriptions were the right thing to do to grow their business.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs get sucked into the get-rich-quick schemes, and sometimes, as for example, social media marketing people can sell themselves as God's gift, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. You have to be able to...
Did you come across people like that yourself?
Well, we spent a hell of a lot on a London PR agency. I did make my own mistakes, and I spent about £16,000 and got 2 pieces of coverage. So No, it didn't pay for it, but at the end of the day, I had to learn from that and know how to get my own marketing, how to use social media and things like that.
You go into the business, so you see the business, you buy it, you get rid of everybody, so that now leaves you in a situation where you've got to raise funds for it, but you can't do everything on your own. And one of the things we were going to talk about today was the fact that, you know, for 24 hours a day, you cannot be doing absolutely everything. And there is this tendency, the entrepreneur who will go into business, regardless of their age, in fact, when they go in, they're trying to save money by doing everything. So is there a point where you went, you know what, I'm going to stop for a moment and assess the way I'm running the business? Is that what you did?
Yes. Exactly that. I brought in my colleague, Matthew Ford. Literally, we worked together at Waitrose stacking shelves when we were about 16.
Good experience.
And I understood that he would be the best person, that was logically minded, who could bring something more to the table with me. I explained to him I couldn't pay him because obviously the business wasn't making. And he bought into my vision of the business and where it was going. And he came on board, and so he did all the creative side, the operations, that sort of side, and I handled all the finance. But still, even with 2 people, 24 hours in a day is so small. That's where you need to time manage. So, for example, my father gave me a call one night and said, "Why are you invoiced? What are you doing?" He said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm invoicing again." It was taking me about 3 hours every night, just invoicing. Doing these mundane admin jobs.
Must be nice to be having to invoice for 3 hours every night, if you don't mind me saying.
But it's all the extra stuff, doing the delivery notes, all the admin, basically, on your accounting software. And he said to me, "Okay, wouldn't it be better to pay someone, say, £50 or however much to do this for you and free up your time?" I said, No, I'm a small business, I can't afford to do that." And he said to me, "Okay, so you're telling me you can't bring in a sale bigger than that in those 3 hours?" And I said, "No, of course I can." And he said, "So you're not valuing your time then?" And that's when my whole mindset changed. And I said, "Okay, let me actually do what's going to take my business to the next level, rather than worrying about this admin stuff that I can actually outsource, and it might cost me a bit, but I will be bringing in a lot more to be able to pay this."
And it is a big problem that a lot of businesses have, that they don't outsource. So when you were outsourcing, did you bring somebody in locally? A lot of companies now are using the Philippines, or they're going online and they're finding virtual assistants. Is that what you did, or did you get somebody that you knew and you trusted and was local to you?
I did use an online system to start with, but I advertised on there for a bookkeeper, for example, or an admin assistant. And I got a lot of proposals in. And I said, I want them to work minimum 1 day from the office, just to start with for the first 6 months, to be able to assess how they would work within the business. Because I think that's really important. You need to build up that trust, and then you're able to let them work off-site. So that's what I did, and it really worked, and now they don't even need to come in the office, and they do everything remotely.
So the office, I mean, there's another expense. I mean, we've got this great big studio here, we've got offices out the front there and everything, and of course that carries an expense with it. So were you running this nearly like a virtual company?
So we did have an office, a tiny office. It was could fit 4 people in. And what I did at the beginning was, it was hard to keep up because we had to keep selling, obviously, to pay the office. But it's good to have an office outside London, I do always recommend, because you're not paying London prices, you're paying under that. And as long as you're within a 20-minute, half an hour radius, you can still get in there and still have your meetings.
So you're now a company of 3?
No, we're a company of...
No, I meant then you were a company of 3. So you had your bookkeeper who was doing your accounts, you had your business partner who'd come in who'd helped you pack shelves, and there's you.
Yeah.
So who was doing the selling at that stage? Because that's an issue. Last week we had on the program, we were talking to someone about sales, Michael Graham. We were talking about how you go about selling and getting out there. That's the cornerstone of any business, getting out, making the sales. So who was doing that?
It was still split between Matthew and myself, and we were still getting the business in. So, for example, when we pitched to Holland & Barrett, it was us that went up there and secured the contract. It takes time, but you have to make sure that you're doing the right things for your business. And at the end of the day, you have to assess whether going into somewhere like Holland & Barrett or going into Tesco's is the right thing for you. And one thing I didn't think about was the infrastructure that had to be put in place to supply these companies.
So you've actually got the supply, and when it comes to warehousing and things like that, are you getting the product manufactured for you by a third party and then dispatched, or are you now developing your own manufacturing plant or whatever?
At the beginning, we were packing everything ourselves.
Really?
It was a nightmare. Powders, snack bars, everything was everywhere. And so we had the packing and the sales and everything. But within 18 months, that was one of the things that I knew I had to change to be able to get us back into profit. So we found a warehouse up in Wales and we hired people up there to actually pack. And
we often say, and very briefly, we often say about this that, you know, there are going to be loads of businesses that got exactly the same profile as you have. And they won't succeed, they'll fail, they'll falter. But your business did succeed and has succeeded. What was the one thing, do you think, that made the difference? Was it luck?
I think hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard at the end of the day, because we were willing to work till 4 in the morning every single day for 3 weeks solid to deliver into store.
Hard work beats talent. I love that. I should be using that myself in the near future. Listen, I hope you're enjoying today's show. It's an inspirational program we're talking about, but it's not about just the story of how this business was to grow and to succeed. What we're going to be talking about are some of the true lessons that you can learn as well, that you can take away and you can apply to your business. Already we have talked about putting work out to people outside your organisation. It's all to come on this edition of Business Connections Live. Cracking show today. Julianne Ponand is my guest. She's the CEO and the owner of Creative Nature, and of course she has worked every hour that God has sent to make certain that her business is going to be successful. Now let's look back. We briefly kind of alluded to last week's programme there just a moment or so ago. On last week's show we spoke to Michael Graham from MJB Graham on business and sales development, coaching and also training. Michael makes the claim that if he goes into your business, he can actually increase the turnover of your business by educating and instructing your sales team. He can grow it by a factor of maybe 3, 4, 5 times. He is a very, very persuasive salesperson. The techniques that he uses are, well, they're not revolutionary, but what they are confident and they are clear to follow. It was a cracking show last week. If you missed it, I do suggest you go back and you look at last week's programme. If you want to get a bit of a teaser for last week's programme, have a look at this. This is Michael Graham from last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Now, my guest on today's show is Michael Graham from MJB Graham. He's going to be talking and giving us advice on business and sales development, coaching and also training. He made I read some of his website, I've read some of the stuff he puts out there, and he said that he can help you double, they call this, you can double or triple your sales.
I think anybody can truly learn how to generate revenue, generate sales. The potential of how high you're going to get, it comes down to the individual as well. If you're looking to get a salesperson, if you're looking to get good at it, do you have a good attitude? Do you work hard? And are you willing to learn? If you can have those 3 things, sales is easy. I think the first thing is, if you don't want to pick up the phone, don't pick it up, you know? And that might sound really unsalesy. Like, if you don't want to pick up the phone, don't pick it up. There's other ways to get clients than the cold calling. Very rarely you're going to pick up the phone, depending on what products you're selling, obviously, and close someone on that first phone call. You might, depending obviously what the product is. But if you're talking about a high-ticket item, you're never going to close someone on that first phone call. There has to be a process that you take them on. And sales as an industry is very risk-taking, and a big quality to be a good entrepreneur is not taking crazy risks, but is knowing when to take a calculated risk. If you're not trained to do something properly, you're not going to do it very well. So if you don't do it well, you're not going to enjoy it, right? Whereas in America, like I've been to America a few times, the companies they're so trained in how to sell, how to do something, how to close people, how to start a conversation, how to be likable with people, right? All these little things that if you don't know how to do them, you're not going to do them. Because number one is, how do I physically go and get in front of more people? not necessarily tell people about my message, but get in front of people. So how do I position myself in front of people? Number two is once I have that opportunity to be in front of that prospect, what's the journey that I'm taking that prospect on from prospect to cash, right? Because cash is king. And then whilst I'm taking him through that process, what am I actually saying to him or her to get them excited, to get them impulsed to want to buy my product? And then the last thing is, how am I monitoring my attitude? Because a lot of people don't do that. Those 4 key things tend to be the places where, and there's loads of clients like examples like that, where they're not doing that stuff, and you do that stuff with them, and they explode. We believe in a concept when it comes to network, that your net worth is directly proportional to your network. So regardless what size of business you are, we believe you should be networking. Doesn't necessarily mean you network where, I say this with respect, where the smaller fish are going. You network where people of your level are going. Because everybody networks, it's just where do they go? Where do they go to network? But you're right, when a company reaches around 4 mil, they might need other sales channels outside of that bog standard 5. When we talk about networking to our clients, we say whether there's 10 people in the room, whether there's 3 people in the room, whether there's 200 people in the room, get 3 good connections. You've got to follow a system, right? All it did was I learned the system and then I did the system repeatedly. They say in sales it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something. So my name is Michael. I'm one of 3 senior partners at MJB Graham Limited. We're an international sales consultancy. And I guess the 4 main things we spoke about with Steve today was the attitude. You've got to make sure your attitude's in the right mindset. Your strategy, your sales strategy, are you getting in front of the right type of people? Your sales process, are you guiding those people in the right way? And your pitch, are you saying the right things to people at the right times to get them impulsed and motivated in what you do? And just by learning those simple 4 things, I'll give you an example. We've taken clients like Hannah Shu. She runs a company called Exceptional Consultancy, and she went from 3 clients a month, so turning over roughly just under 2 grand, to 35 clients a month. She's turning over at the moment an exceptional amounts higher than what she was before. She's hiring people, and what we do is every quarter we run a quarterly seminar called our Supercharge Your Sales, and I'd like to invite you all from there. Give us a call. The number is 0203 195 2888, and what we do is we meet at the Kensington Close Hotel in High Street, Kensington, and 100 business owners. We all get in the room, we run through those 4 key things: attitude, strategy, process, pitch, for 1 whole day, so you can take it away and you can implement it in your business and get the changes you guys deserve.
And he's a nice bloke as well to boot, so if you're ever passing him, please boot him for me. Michael Graham there, a great show. If you want to find out some alternative techniques when it comes to sales, and maybe the way you should be approaching your whole sales arena, then that's going to be the programme for you. That's Michael Graham on Business Connections Live. And just go to the website and you can catch up on all our programmes there. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Julianne Ponan. She's the CEO of Creative Nature. And just in case you're wondering what they actually do, they do a complete range of, well, healthy foods effectively. And if we just have a look, we do some of these bars. Tell us a little bit about these bars here. Gojo Goodness, what's that? Raw cacao? Cacao. Ginger detox, peanut protein. Tell us more about these. These are the bars that you do, so tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so they're all basically made so that they're gluten, dairy, wheat, soya, and there's 3 nut-free ones there. So they're really healthy energy on the go. People are always consuming too much sugar. There's no added sugars in them, syrups or sweeteners. You'll see a lot of brands out there that don't cater for this, and there's so many people allergic to things these days. That's why, especially people like me who just can't actually physically eat the thing. So I made the thing so that I could eat it, but also that everyone that suffers like me can as well.
So which one's the hero product? Is it the bars, or is it, for instance, something like this here that we've got? Is this the hero product, or do they all carry the same kind of weight within the business?
It's different because that one's just launched a month ago. So this is like an exclusive because you haven't really seen it in store yet.
Wow.
So they're superfood home bakes. They're the first of their kind. Organic, gluten, dairy, nut and soya free.
Fantastic. Listen, let's go back to the business, because that's the product, that's the brand, and we've talked that you pulled people in now to help you out when it came to doing the invoicing. You've got someone that who's working with you to do the sales. A lot of businesses falter when it comes to doing sales, that cold calling. I hate it. and I'm sure you must have at the very beginning. So how did you get around that bit? Because if we don't make any sales calls, we don't make any sales. Has your technique changed? Are you more accustomed to rejection? Do you mind rejection, or are you very positive? What techniques do you use?
Firstly, rejection is always a thing you're going to face in life, but just saying no now doesn't mean it's going to be no forever, and that's something we do get our staff to learn very early on, because they are going to get no's. But like you said, something like 10 to 20 no's, there's going to be a yes in there. So it doesn't matter about those 20 no's, it just matters that you're making those calls to get that yes. But it's not just calling with sales. I think it's really important to be innovative. They probably get, for example, the Tesco buyer's probably got, I don't know, hundreds of products similar to mine. Probably
he wouldn't have to buy anything anymore. He's probably got box loads of bars outside. Yes.
Exactly. But it was trying to make sure that mine was different and he remembered it. So not just calling, but I don't know, sending them something that's different, making them understand that you're the brand they want to list, popping up on their social media, following them on Twitter even can work.
Well, listen, we're going to talk about social media in a few moments because you're a big advocate of social media. Let's just go back to the fundamentals of the business when it started. You start on day one, you're actually manufacturing products, so somehow along the line you've got to fund that somehow. Your background's banking, it must have been a piece of cake for you then. You must have been able to walk in to the bank manager and go, listen, I used to be one of you, and I want this much money, hand over the cash, let's get on and do some business.
I wish. I really wish.
What actually happened?
Well, at the end of 2013 going into 2014, I actually wanted to throw in the towel at that point because I'd grown the business and I'd got it out of losses into profit. But then I didn't have the cash flow to take it to the next level. So as you said, I went down my book of contacts going,
oh, yeah, I know him. I worked with him for a couple of years. He'll piece of cake, push over.
Yeah.
Was it like that, no?
No, it was literally no. No, your financial forecasts are unrealistic. Laughing at them, which was pretty much the tipping point for me. Even things like, you're too young, the business is too much of a risk. You're a woman, some people said, which was really, really odd.
How very dare they?
Because I did look young, I must admit, I did look very young. People were like, oh, are you the owner or is your colleague the owner? But that happens.
When you went to meetings with your colleague, because you are the owner,
yeah,
would they talk to him and not to you?
Well, it happened. Well, it still happens. It happened at a trade show just literally yesterday. Had a buyer come by and they said, "Could I speak to the owner, please?" And they asked my colleague. They said, "Are you the owner?" And he said, "No, that's the owner." And they actually laughed. And I said, "Okay. Yes, I am the owner." And they go, "Wow, you're very young. You're very young. How old are you?" But because I look younger than my age as well, I think that doesn't
Because actually
help.
you're 78, aren't you?
Oh, that would be a definite good product push then.
Yeah, the creams are great, by the way. Fantastic. So you're coming up against nearly prejudice within the industry that you're working in. So you've got the bank telling you that you look too young. They're telling you that you don't have the expertise, the experience, that you're a big risk.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a table turner for you, isn't it?
Well, my financial forecasts, I must admit, they were optimistic, but I'm pleased to say we did exceed them, which was nice.
Really? Good.
Yeah. But I didn't get the investment in the end at all. And that's where the point when I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
How did you fund it?
Well, me and my colleague Matt, he's literally like my rock. He said, to every problem there is a solution. And there really is. So we racked our brains literally nights and nights, saying how are we going to actually get our business to the next level. And we found out, right, we need to sell to a major multiple. And by selling to a major multiple, we'll have like a good amount of funds, which we can then factor. And then factoring the invoices, you then have the cash flow to then spend on the other side of the business.
But doesn't factoring cost you money though, doesn't it?
Yes.
Off your top line. So what kind of money were you paying for the factoring?
So like I knew, because I was in that industry, I did know a few companies that would do it and not put a debenture on your company, because I think that's really important to tell people out there. You don't really want a debenture on your company.
What does that mean for the people that don't know?
Basically, it's something on your company when you're looking at selling. It doesn't look good because it's like a loan in a way, but but not, because you're factoring the invoices. You can also find companies out there that don't factor your whole books, which is another thing that I looked at. So for example, when I launched into Tesco's, I only wanted to factor Tesco's invoices. But many companies will tell you they don't do that. They want your whole books because that's a better deal.
Does that mean then that what's happening, you're getting the order, you're invoicing for the order, and the money that you get for the order, because you're factoring it, means that that's what's paying for your manufacturing?
Yeah, that comes in, and with the company I use, we get 90% of the invoice, which frees up a lot of cash flow. So then I use that for manufacturing, and then obviously because I'm getting 90%, I'm still going to have a little bit left over to do other things like marketing or helping the other side of the business, like the web sales or other things like that.
Did you look at, I mean, we've done programs where we've looked at the likes of seed funding and startup funding and crowdfunding. Did you look at the likes of crowdfunding at all? Was that something else that you perhaps maybe considered?
I went down the crowdfunding route when the bank said no, and I still failed. So don't get me wrong, people do fail. Like in business, you can fail. I went on there, and the pitch was going well. And then I had a few comments from ex-employees and things. And once the traction goes from your crowdfunding campaign, it will just start to plummet. So, and that's what happened. And we just didn't get the funding that way either.
It seems that the ongoing story about this particular startup bit, that it's so common to businesses, but it seems to be the persistence in, if at first you don't succeed. I mean, the old expression is, if at first you don't succeed, give up. There's no point in making a fool of yourself. But what you've done is you said, right, that didn't work. People that I thought I could depend on and maybe go to the banks looking for the money, they've said no. So I've got to go a different route. So you seem to be constantly nearly reinventing what you're trying to achieve. You're being persistent in your efforts. Do you think, is that the thing that makes you different?
Yeah, I think entrepreneurs need to adapt. They say, I found this quote on the internet the other day, it's like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. That's literally what you have to do as an entrepreneur.
What a great line. There's so many great lines come out today. All right, so you've been able to manage the funding. You've now got the funding. You're manufacturing. You're able to get the product into a major retailer, which is fantastic news. Now, you mentioned, though, that you had to make yourself look different, and you talked a lot about social media before we came on the programme today. So what did you do? How important has social media been? Because there are businesses out there that go, hey, we tried that, had no effect. Didn't do anything for us. And there'll be other businesses like yours that say that it's a cornerstone of the way we market our product. How have you used that?
I think obviously every business is different. If you're doing B2B services, it may not work as well, but I just think there's other avenues you can take. For example, mine's a product. It's very product based. So I've got customers out there that I need to get to. And the easiest way of doing it is something like social media, because it's not going to cost as much as something like print advertising, newspapers, TV, that sort of thing. So with social media, you're able to take your own control. You can target your customers in a niche area. You can even target their location, which is incredible. So
which do you use predominantly? Is it Twitter? Is it Facebook? And do you use the likes of LinkedIn for your professional contacts? What's your mix?
It's different for different parts of the business, I'm not going to lie. So for example, Twitter is great for B2B, so supplying like the box companies we supply, we contact a lot of them through there. And it sounds small, but they can be sending out like 2,000 bars a month, which is incredible. And you can reach a lot of more people that way. Whereas Facebook is very like knowing your audience. So for example, I can get a lot of feedback. We have a Facebook group that it's all about allergy awareness, and people then buy into your products because they understand them more. You can get a lot of research done very inexpensively and quickly.
Fantastic. Listen, we're going to talk a little bit more about social media in just a few moments' time as well. We kind of touched on building the team. We'll talk about that too, and the kind of infrastructure that you should be working towards in your business. But probably the most important lesson that we're going to try and learn on this one is not to wear all the hats in your business. If you're one of these people and you are doing absolutely everything within your business at the moment, you're probably writing your own formula to failure. You cannot do it all. You need maybe you need to stand back a little bit. We've already touched on the fact that about bookkeepers, but we'll find out also how Julianne brought other people into the business to make certain that the business continue to grow and to be a success. That's all to come on this edition of Business Connections Live. My guest of today's show is Julianne Ponan, CEO of Creative Nature on Business Connections Live. Hope you're enjoying today's program. It's quite inspirational, isn't it, actually? A young lady comes in, started off in the banking industry, and then decided that what she was going to do was she was going to start a business that was going to give her the kind of products that she needed to have in her life. So she's got an absolute passion. Do you think it was the passion that was important? Is that the magic? Because you're always looking for the magic. Is that the magic, do you reckon?
I think it's one of three things. I think it's the passion, the drive, and then finally the determination to do it. Okay,
listen, more from my guest in just a few moments' time. While we're talking about people who are somewhat inspirational, let's look at somebody else who helps numerous businesses up and down the United Kingdom on a regular basis. Her name is Debbie Huxton. If you haven't come across, maybe you've never been huxed. Everybody needs to be huxed at some stage in their life. Debbie came on the programme a little while back, and I think it fits in quite nicely with what we're talking about on this particular programme, the way that it's about self-belief, it's about making certain that you can move forward in the marketplace that you're in because you believe in your product, but probably more importantly, you believe in you. Just to give you some words of wisdom to be huxed on this edition of the programme, here's Debbie Huxton.
Hi, I'm Debbie Huxton and I'm a business coach. I help businesses align themselves to their highest values and purpose. I'd like to ask you a question. If you knew today was your last day on this earth, what would you do differently? And if that was the case, that you would change something because you knew your expiry date, then why aren't you living that life now? Did you wake up today, Monday morning, and feel thrilled about the fact that it was Monday? Or did you wake up thinking about all of the overwhelm you've got ahead of you? If you did, then what are you going to do to change it? Why are you choosing to live a life that is creating that overwhelm? Is it time for you to make a change? And you can make those changes because you have all of those resources, all of those skills inside you to do so. You can start by making a decision. Do you want to make a change? If the answer's yes, then you need to go away and you need to start applying all of the things that you've learned, that you have and that you know about in your life. Go and find yourself a mentor, a coach, somebody that can help you, somebody that can support you, somebody that can guide you to live your fullest potential. Go away and start looking at your self-care and understand that for you to run your business, you need to be at peak performance. If you're not mentally with your head in the game, your business is going to struggle and you are going to suffer. And the most important thing is to understand that you are enough. You can do this.
Yep, you can do this. That's what Debbie says. If you get an opportunity and you're on the iPhone platform, I think it's on Android as well, there's actually a great app. If you put in Debbie Huxton, she's got a great app that you can download as well, that you can watch, and she gives you different pieces of advice each and every day. In fact, she's got a whole set of, they call them random videos. They're not random videos, but what they are, they're suggestions from Debbie on maybe how you can just refocus what you're thinking about on a moment-by-moment basis. And it also has got a great thing in it too, which is a mood meter. So you can put in your mood and you can see how your mood fluctuates throughout the day. A lot of great response back from that, actually. That's Debbie Huxton. If you want to watch her entire programme, you can go to our website, give you all the addresses. In fact, if you want to contact us here at Business Connections Live, just simply drop us an email at studio@businessconnectionslive.com. If you want to give us a call, we've got a few promotions going on at the moment. If you'd like a programme like this one, we're doing a great deal on it as well, for that matter. You can give us a ring on 01784 256 777. Have a word with myself, Steve Highland, or the real boss, Linda Bazant. You were talking earlier on, weren't you, about the fact that people come up. When we have meetings, this really annoys Linda actually, when we have meetings, people will come and they'll sit and they will talk to me. They won't talk to her, they'll talk to me. God, that really makes us so angry. Talk to the hand, the face isn't listening. If you want to do that, you can get in touch with us here, 01784 256 777. Or if you want to follow our Train of Consciousness on Twitter, you can also go to BCL Business TV, and you can also join us as well on Facebook for that matter as well. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Julianne Pona. She's the CEO and owner of Creative Nature. 4 years ago, she started a business. She had to go out there. She had to fund it. She had to get on the phones and she had to sell it. She then packed the bags. You probably put them in the back of the car as well, I would imagine, and delivered them in some cases.
Yep, you'll see one of our things on our website, you'll see a picture of Matt on our timeline. We did not have a forklift to deliver into Tesco's, so we had to pull it on a tiny pallet pump truck.
Oh,
and
really?
10 pallets were 800 kilos each.
My word.
Health and safety, don't do it though.
Don't do it like that. If you want to have a quick look at their website, it is creativenaturesuperfoods.co.uk, invigorating raw superfoods to make you live, look and feel your best yet. Kickstart your New Year's resolution in style. And you can see there that all the different products that are available are actually on there. Tells you a little bit about the origins, the recipes, the reasons to enjoy nut-free, the ambassadors who are out there. Some of the public, that's really good. I mean, have you been able, just looking at that, there are companies out there that give their right arm to be featured in the likes of the Express, Glamour, Grazia, OK, Cosmopolitan and the Telegraph. Is that you doing that through the social media? Is that you doing your own PR that got that kind of coverage?
Yeah, some of it has been our own PR, and then now we have a lovely PR agency who do that for us. But yeah, to start with, it's been me going, oh, would you like to try our product? Oh, I can do this for you. Can you feature us? Fantastic.
Listen, let's go back to the social media, because we're going to talk about, because there seems to be, you're doing a lot and you're obviously wearing a lot of hats. So we're going to talk about that in a moment, the whole thing of time management. Just for somebody, an entrepreneur that's watching now, could you give them maybe couple of pieces of advice on the best ways to effectively use social media? What would it be, do you think?
Distributing the right content is really, really important. Don't send content out there that you don't believe is quality and engaging, because a lot of people think it's just about quantity, but it really isn't. It's about the quality. So for example, on our Facebook, we will have specific posts on nut allergy sufferers, and then we will get the target market to actually engage and comment. Having loads and loads of followers is fantastic, but at the end of the day, if those followers aren't interacting with you, what is the point of them? So I think it's really important to engage the right following to your social media as well. Then finally, tracking. Tracking is so important. Please, every single business needs to put Google Analytics in place, because with social media, it's all about putting those links in there. You can use things like Bitly to shorten your links to your website and put it into social media. And with that, you can then directly track to see how many posts have been successful, how many impressions you've had, how many conversions you've had, why the leads aren't converting if they're not. And from that, you can read that all in Google Analytics, which is fantastic. And I think businesses need to have that on board. With something like print, there's no way of tracking it. Someone could have seen it and then bought it from a shop. But with social, it's perfect, because you know exactly how much you're spending and exactly how much you're getting back.
There is that old saying, isn't there? I can't remember the name of the executive, but he stood up and he said, 50% of my advertising spend doesn't work, but I don't know which 50% it is. And I suppose today there is no excuse for that anymore. With the analytics that are out there, with the delivery of marketing electronically and online, we should know exactly what every penny we're spending is doing.
Yep, you can actually track it down to a T on which customers have bought now. So there's no excuses. You just need the right people, which where the outsourcing comes in, to actually tell you how many sales you've made. Because I'm not good at everything. I might be good at finance, but I'm not going to be good at tech. I'm awful at it. That's why I don't mentor any tech companies, because I'm just so bad at that, and I have to employ someone to actually do that side.
Beautifully done, if you don't mind me saying, because that leads us on to what we were going to talk about. You can't wear all the hats in your business. How big a problem was it for you to go, right, I'm going to get other people to come into the business and do those different functions? That management of people. Was that difficult for you to actually be able to hand the hats out to individuals to go, right, you're going to be doing social media, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that? And is it important to do that?
It's the hardest thing, I think, in business, building your team, because they can let you down. They're never going to obviously sell it as good as you sell your business. but you have to make them sell it as good as you sell it. And that's why everyone I employ has the yes gene.
The yes gene?
The yes gene, that's what we call it. I actually learnt it from an amazing entrepreneur, Richard Reed, the founder of Innocent Drinks. And I met him at one of the award ceremonies, and he said, "Oh, I love your brand," which was amazing for me at the time because I wasn't in any of the supermarkets at that point. And he taught me that basically in 2008, Innocents had lost as much as they earned, basically from not letting go of employees that weren't doing what they needed for their business. And now I call it the yes gene and trimming the fat around your company. So everyone I employ goes through like 3 stages, and they come into the business, then they trial with the business, they meet everyone in the team, and they understand how the business works, and they're willing to put in the hours. For example, if we have an order that needs to get out and everyone needs to be on board, they will work till 1 in the morning on it. And that's what you need every single person in your team to do. And the hardest part is letting go.
I was going to say, do you find it difficult advocating responsibility to other people? Do you? Because I think that's very difficult sometimes. Delegation is really, really hard, and it's sometimes you just feel I'll just get on and I'll do it myself.
Yeah, you do, but that's where you make that mistake, because. For example, say you bring someone...
Note to self, delegate more, right,
say you bring someone on board and you've made the initial choice to bring them on board, so you must have taken some calculated decision to do that. Then, if you start to micromanage them and their every single move, first of all, you're going to demotivate them because they're feeling like, oh my gosh, she's looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. And you don't want to do that because then they just won't do their work, or they'll be so scared that they'll be doing their work wrong. So you want to be able to give them enough trust and make them want to work for you to deliver, and that comes in their training. So you train them in those first few weeks as much as possible, let them see how you do it and show them that you've actually been there and done it. Like, for example, every single employee of mine has seen that I've packed boxes in the warehouse, has seen that I've pulled pallets. They need to know that you're willing to do that and that their job is not any less important than yours.
But it must be very difficult to get that over. And obviously you've had dealings with, I mean, do you get people who come in who feel resentful about doing all of that with you? Or is it in the interview process? How do you select those people? Where do you find them?
I've had problems in the past and I've had to let go of people. And that's been one of my hardest things. Firstly, some people don't like having a woman as a boss. Some people don't. And others, obviously, if I'm employing people who are older than me, they sometimes don't respond very well. So you have to weed that out right at the beginning. Because if you don't, and you don't show authority, it sometimes can hinder the business later on. Has
it made you tougher and harder, do you think, in business? If you were looking back at the person that was there 4 years ago, would you say you're very different now?
I say I've grown up a lot. I've managed to get a thick skin, as you say, learnt to deal with rejection. But still, till today, I still have issues with firing someone because I don't think it's a nice thing for anyone to do. And obviously you've obviously brought that person on for a reason, so you need to figure out why they're not delivering. There's a difference between being a leader and a boss. And I think that's really important to have those regular team meetings, regular motivational talks, and also like team days. For example, our last team day, we climbed the O2. Things like that. So you have things that are really going to make them go, oh yeah, this is fun.
What, across the top of it?
Yeah, we climbed the O2.
Raving.
And the time before we did Go Ape. But we do things as a team and we all pitch in together on what we want to do. And it's something that's motivational for them to work towards.
How many people, so we started off 4 years ago, there was 2 of you, then there was number 3 came along to do the bookkeeping. Because by the way, what does your dad do?
My dad's an entrepreneur himself, so that's probably why I've got
He sounded like one.
Yeah, he is. He's an incredible man.
What lessons do you think you learned from him?
I learnt that no matter how much you fall, it counts for how you get up. Like he's had time. Like he built his businesses from nothing. He had nothing, and he doesn't have A stars either in terms of education. He's not very academic. So he had to learn how to sell, how to work his business all from scratch. And he owns a mechanics garage. And the thing he was good at was fixing cars, so he built a whole business around it and had to employ the right people around him, and that's what I guess taught me how to do that in a way.
Building the right people, that infrastructure around you, how difficult have you found that to do?
I'm still struggling with that. I think every business, as they go through their growth stages and bringing on more people, it's very difficult. So it is what you can do it yourself via social media and advertise for people to come on board, but sometimes that just doesn't work, and you have to pay recruitment agencies because they can sometimes siphon through the wrong people and finally give you like a handful of yes gene people. So it's worth doing it if you have an end goal.
But having that clear end goal, I suppose, is going to be important for any business. We're going to be talking about how you build your network in a moment. Is that different to our social network, or is that our business network as such that we're going to be talking about in just a moment?
There's a difference between obviously a branding perspective of social networking and a personal perspective of networking. So I would say my personal brand links in very well with my product, but I do keep certain things separate.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a few moments' time. And also, Julianne's going to be giving you some key takeaways that you need for your business as well. So at the end of this program, you should have a little list sitting there of the things that you can actually apply to your business and hopefully put into practice, into place, and they'll make your business a little bit more successful. If you're finding many of the things that Julianne is saying, you're going, yeah, that's exactly how it was for me. Hopefully some of the things, at least you're not on your own. At least you know that every entrepreneur that is out there has gone through exactly the same pains, the same struggles to get their business to where it is today. And maybe with a little bit of luck, it's what makes them all successful. My guest on today's show is Julianne Pernan, CEO of Creative Nature. You're watching Business Connections Live. Great to have your company as always. Going to give Julianne just a moment or so just to relax, just for a bit. By the way, I don't know about you, but I think we're having an interesting conversation. I'd like to think we are. I am having a fascinating time. I'm finding it loads of real insights into what businesses should be doing. And it's also down to the way that Julianne is actually able to sit there and to communicate the ideas, communicate the way that she's explaining the concept that she uses within her business. Now, the thing is, many businesses don't have those skills inherently. They find it difficult to actually communicate what they do. They find it difficult to talk to the press, to the media. They sometimes they think they're going to be caught out. In some instances, they may well be caught out. So how do you go about making yourself more media friendly? How do you get the techniques, the skills that are needed when it comes to maybe talking to the press, talking to the media? How do you do that? We run a training course here at Business Connections Live. You may well be interested in getting some of your team to come on. It's a great team day for that matter, where we will sit you down and we'll go through an entire process of how you should do TV interviews, how you should do radio interviews, how you should do pieces to camera, what you should be thinking about when it comes to presenting your business successfully to the media. It's our How to Handle the Media training day, and here's James Griffin to tell you how his organisation got a real benefit from coming on the course.
I'm James Griffin from Iris Software, and my team have just completed the How to Handle the Media workshop. It was a really great course, it was really fun, and it was a really unique way for them to polish their presentation skills and learn how to answer difficult questions under pressure. So I'd highly recommend this to anybody that values those skills and really wants a great day out with their team.
If you want more details on that, all you've got to do is come to us here at Business Connections Live. We'll give you all the details once again. It is, here we are, studio at businessconnectionslive.com. The email address is just appearing even as I speak. You could always give us a call if you want to get more details on that. Telephone number is 01784 256 777. Have a word with me, or you can have a word with Linda Bazant as well, for that matter. And if you want to follow our train of consciousness, as I said earlier on, BCL Business TV, and you can get some. In fact, if you'd have been following that, you'd have found out that Julianne was going to be on the programme today. Get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live. You can watch all the programmes on the website as well, for that matter, and see the other things that we do. We do a whole range of corporate production where we're very big in internal communications. So if you have an issue within your organisation and you're trying to set up some form of internal communication strategy, we will work with your internal team. We'll also come up with some ideas. We tend to use a lot of audio and video production to get your message out there. So if you want more details on that, simply get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Julianne Perner. She's the CEO of Creative Nature, a fantastic brand. They do a complete range of products. So let's have a look at the bars. Here they are. Thank you very much indeed. You've got a complete range of different bars that are sitting here. Here they go. These are available in what stores can you get these?
So they're brand new. So they've launched in Sourced Market in St Pancras, and they're going into Lloyd's pharmacies, and we've got one big retailer hopefully listing at the end of the summer.
So exciting. All right, let's go back. We were talking about networks and the differentiation between the different types of networks. So how do you go about building the most appropriate network for your business? How have you gone about it? And what are the benefits that you've seen from having that network?
It was really important for the brand that I built my personal image. For example, we had a look at basically the whole market, and we saw that a lot of the bigger brands don't have a personality behind it. And having a look at the research from Mintel, a lot of them said people wanted the ethical, green, personal branding, and to know that there was a person behind that product, which is where I started to think, okay, let's build my personal brand. And I've always wanted to work with other entrepreneurs as well. So I decided, okay, not only do I want to brand myself as the brand ambassador and the face of the brand, but I also want to work with young entrepreneurs. So that's when Virgin had approached me, and they have this startup campaign. They said, oh, would you like to mentor for us, as we've seen what you've done in such a short space of time? I said, yeah, fantastic. And I was like, but what can I get out of it as well? Because obviously mentoring someone you get a lot out of, because you can learn off each other as well. But I wanted the sort of marketing around it, which then led me to the public speaking, and the business show approached me, and I was approached as a main keynote, a headline keynote. And I was like, wow, should I really do this? Am I ready for this? But I said, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm telling my story and I'm giving valuable information to other entrepreneurs. So that's what I did. I started making the brand, and this is where I linked it through social media. Like LinkedIn, I have hundreds of contacts on there, and it's fantastic for getting to know the speaking industry, also getting to know the business networking industry as well. So things like, for example, I'm speaking at Company's House tonight. Things like that. You'd get.
So we're just a warm-up then for you?
Sort of, yeah.
So that's fantastic. But is there a danger that you become bigger than the brand? That you become the brand? Is that a danger? Do you have to be careful that the brand still has its own integrity? Because with my brand, the whole brand is created because of me suffering from anaphylaxis, there isn't a worry of that. I think if your brand isn't created for your purpose, yes, there could be mixed messages. So for me personally, no, but I think businesses who want to do personal branding, they have to be very careful on how they're going to market it. Now, we've seen other organisations that have done exactly the same thing. I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, the likes of 4 Networking, of course, their big personality is Brad Burton. Yeah. So there you're looking at a big personal brand and a big brand in its own right. So you've got 2 brands nearly. So at some stage, will you become the same as the brand, effectively, that you're a brand in your own right?
That would be the hope, but I would rather do the sort of helping entrepreneurs side and branding myself as that, rather than just the brand. Whereas with Brad, he's amazing, by the way. Mm-hmm. So in terms of 4N, yes, I heard about Brad before I heard about 4N, but that's because he's such a good brand ambassador, and I think he does it in a different way. And 4 Networking is getting people together. So he, being a person, it works very well, whereas mine's a product, so people are buying the product for the purpose of it and being able to eat it, as well as...
Well, I suppose he's selling a service, isn't he, that he is the brand ambassador for. Would you suggest then to entrepreneurs that are watching this, maybe they're the same part of the cycle as you are, you're 4 or 5 years down the line, but what they are, they're product-led. So they've come up with a great product. Do you think that they should all say somebody within your organisation needs to be your brand ambassador, and you need to work as hard at selling that as a brand ambassador as you do the product?
I think it's very important that every single brand has a story. People buy into the story, and you want to know the personality behind the brand. So yes, I do feel that it's important to get that message across.
Right then, time management, finally. We finally got there. Advice that you would give when it comes to it, you've already said that you will bring people into your organisation, that you build an infrastructure within your organisation. Personal time management for an entrepreneur, very, very difficult. How do you approach it?
To-do lists, managing your diary is really important. So for me, I write a to-do list every day, like on a piece of paper. It has to be written on a piece of paper, because when you have your whole diary scheduled, things can change. That's life. But with having a to-do list, you lay out, I say to do between 1 and 15 things, because that's the realistic to-do list.
Do you stick to it?
Yes. This is what's really important. You write on there the exact things you want to have done for the day. And I don't mean answering emails as one of them, or answering the phone as another. That is absolutely ridiculous. You're going to have to answer emails throughout the day, but setting a time slot for that is more important. So
do you work A time and B time? Do you have a really productive time? A lot of people say that time between 8 and 10 in the morning is a really, really productive golden time.
No, I don't. I make sure that throughout the day I have breaks. So for example, I think before you have a sales call, you need to take 5 minutes before that sales call just to think about what your end goal is from that sales call. And you need to make sure you have achieved it by the time you finish that sales call. And then you take the 5 minutes afterwards to see why you haven't, if you haven't. And that's really, really important. So making sure that you write your to-do list down. Mine can be things like, right, I need to pitch Waitrose, for example, today. And I will actually cross that out every time that thing is done. And every member of my staff has those to-do lists as well. And when you actually cross it out on a piece of paper, you feel more motivated to do the next thing. If you make your to-do list 50 items long, you're never going to get to the end for one, so you're going to get demotivated. And secondly, do you really have 50 things to do in that day that's going to propel your business to the next level? Personally, I don't think so. I think you need to write the things that are actually going to get you the next sale, or actually going to help you in your social media campaign or your website campaign.
Do you think we prioritise properly when it comes to doing things then?
I think
Is that a skill that you've learnt then?
Yeah, I think people end up doing mundane things. Like, for example, as soon as another email comes in, they will answer it. And that email might not need to be answered just yet. It might be an advertising campaign trying to contact you. Why do you need to get back to them right now? Allocate a time where you can and do it then.
All right. Now listen, we're nearly at the end of the programme. It's flown by, hasn't it? And you've got loads there that you could have talked about. What we invite all our guests to do is the key takeaways for other entrepreneurs, business startups, and we ask you to look straight down camera number 1 over here, to say who you are and where you're from, and to just give those key takeaways so that we're all aware of what we should be thinking about. I've got a list that I've taken away from this. If you could just give us a summary, that would be fantastic. As long as you want. Down camera number 1, the airways are all yours. Don't forget to say who you are and where you're from. Down that one.
I'm Julianne, owner of Creative Nature Superfoods, and I'm here to talk on Business Connections Live. The main things that I'd like for you to take away is time management. Learn to value your time as much as possible. It's really important that you're not doing mundane jobs throughout the day. Make sure you're making that next sale call and making sure you're closing that deal. The second is making sure you have the Yes Gene team. Employing people that aren't making your business go forward is pointless just to say that they're on your team. If you're doing the job that they should be doing, it's time to get rid of them. And finally, it's really important to delegate. I know when you're a small business, you want to wear all the hats in your business. But at the end of the day, you're never going to be good at everything. I'm not good at technology, so I outsource it. So it's important that you are learning what you're good at and what you're not, and outsourcing.
Fantastic. Some really good advice there, actually. Where's the business going? What's the next stage for you guys? What's around the corner? Where are you going to take the business to next?
So the aim is to get into all of the major multiples, and then we have just done some export deals. So we're looking at hitting hopefully the US with the 5-year plan, and we've already launched into Dubai and Sweden.
So it's no small plans then, big plans?
Yes, big plans.
Where do you think you'll be in 10 years' time? Are you a multiple entrepreneur, or will this be the business? Is this the one?
I think once you've got the bug, you sort of want to do other things as well. So yes, I'm definitely going to be doing more things. There's lots in the pipeline.
Have you dabbled elsewhere? What are you dabbling with at the moment? Can you say?
Yeah, an online shop as well. So that's separate from Creative Nature, and obviously my mentoring business as well.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the program today. It's been a real insight into what you can do with a brand. If you want to find out more, once again, about Julianne's website, remember, how many in the company now? Finally, how many in the company?
So there is 8 in our team, and then we've got the outsourced 2 warehouses.
If you want to find out more about them, you can go to their website. You'll find it here at creativenaturefoods.co.uk. All sorts of different things there. You can get a real feel for what the business is all about, and you can also follow them as well on Twitter, for that matter. And if you're in the shops or anything like that, and you just want to try out maybe some of their products, they're not there yet, but you can have a look at the bars. The bars are going to be out there. They're going to be out there very shortly. Also, look out for this too. That's just one of the 2 different brands that we've got here at the moment, but do watch out and see that. Listen, Julianne, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the program today. It's been just a real insight into finding out as an entrepreneur what you can actually really do. So thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Been a real pleasure, and we hope you enjoyed today's show with Julian Ponan, CEO of Creative Nature. And it's been a great show, and it only needs now for me to do a little bit of the housekeeping, in fact, to just tell you what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Can I try one of these at some stage?
Yeah, please.
Are they real? Can I try one now?
I'd go with the goji. Do you like peanuts, or do you like...
I like peanuts.
Oh, okay, I'd go for the peanut protein then.
The peanut protein, hang on, it's got to be done. Well, I find out I have an allergy. And it's got to be done. It's got to, if I can get into it. Here's one prepared. It's going. I'm in. Here we go.
Got me worried there.
No, that's really, really good, isn't it?
I like a healthy Snickers.
Oh, wow. Now, that's the kind of bar that you would really, truly go out and buy. How much is that going to be in the shops?
99 pence.
Oh, that is good value for money. And it gives you that kick. It really does feel like you're eating a substantial bar as well, for that matter. I like that. She's not having the rest of them back. We're having all of those. Okay, here we go. Our guests over the next couple of weeks, who have we got lined up for you? Well, we've got Rachel Taplin, media matchmaker, speaker, PR trainer of Blue Boo Media. She's going to be coming in telling us how you can probably get free advertising, free marketing promotion as such, as Julianne was saying, has been a company expert going out there promoting herself. But how do you do that? How do you get onto the likes of BBC Local Radio? How do you get onto national TV? Rachel will be coming in and explaining more about that. It's made my mouth water now. Coming up in the next few weeks, we've got Chris Harris. He's the Group Marketing Director of the AA. He's going to be joining us. Stilis Guan, International Sales and Marketing Leader, Coach and Speaker. She's going to be with us as well. And on the 20th of June, we're going to be airing a Business Connections Live special with a round table of experts, including Louise Punter, Chief Executive of Surrey Chamber of Commerce, and Stuart Miller, MD of Warwick Legal Networks, discussing the EU referendum. You're probably going to be sick of it by then. Are you in or are you out? In or out?
I'm in.
You're in. Why?
Because I believe that it's good for business in Europe.
All right, so we've got an in here. I haven't made my mind up. I was out for quite some time. I'm now just a little bit confused.
I was the same.
You're the same.
Exactly the same.
It's strange. I wonder how it'll all be on the night. If you're watching in the Cambridge area, don't forget you can watch us on Cambridge TV Freeview, Channel 8 and also Virgin 159. That wraps up this week's edition of the programme. Your break is all done. It's back to work, I'm afraid, for you right now. Thank you very much indeed for your company on today's edition of Business Connections Live. Till we do it all again live next Monday. Have yourselves a fantastic week from Julianne and myself, Steve Highland. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.